Welcome to Infinity and Beyond, a podcast that takes a look back at the works of Pixar animation before moving onward to their newest films. Today, we're leaving headquarters for a journey through the mind. Here's a story we love from the inside out.
That was a good intro. That was good. I finally understand the Onward thing now.
Yeah, we discussed that last week.
Explained it to you.
Anyway, who the gosh darn heck are we? I'm Fear.
I'm Anger.
I mean, I guess I'm Joy, but I
Yeah,
don't
we
really
know
like
who you are at this point.
You're
We
dead.
know exactly which one you are.
I'm Bing Bong.
I'm Daniel Hudson.
I'm Jaron Gravely.
I'm Nora Jones. Wait, which one do you think I am?
Is it not obvious?
I don't know.
She's
Riley?
No, you're Joy.
Joy? Well, I mean, yeah, but Joy is, not the most Joy. Well, she is. Okay, I appreciate her effort. I'll be Joy. Joy's good. Yeah, that's
Anyway, we're here to discuss a movie.
Yes, we are. And what a movie today.
Indeed. So, I believe whose turn is it to recap the plot?
not mine.
Is me.
Is you? Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I got to do the one I wanted, and she got Cars 2.
I'm so sorry.
Olivia got Brave, and I did Monsters University, right? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Jared said that so bitterly. He got the one I wanted.
No, I said I got the one I wanted.
Oh,
He wanted to do Toy Story 3, and he got to do Toy Story 3.
Oh, okay. Wait, which one's next?
After this,
Yeah.
is The Good Dinosaur,
Oh, yeah.
the one you and I have not seen.
Oh, yeah. I'm scared about that.
2 original Pixar films in a row.
It'll be the first time on this show you and I go in completely fresh, so.
It won't be just me.
Not the last time, because we'll all be very fresh for Onward.
Yeah.
This is true. What is the podcast just going to end after Onward? That's so sad.
We'll pick up for Soul when that comes out.
That's true. We could go through the shorts.
Hey, maybe it won't. Maybe it won't be just a Pixar exclusive podcast. Maybe we'll move on to other things.
We can make a new podcast. We'll move onward.
I don't know what I'd be doing without you guys every week.
I know, this has become a vital part of the week.
I'm your new favorite person for both of you. I know. You don't have to tell me.
The podcast brings joy, not doing the
I don't have to say it.
Mwahaha.
Oh no, are you revealing that you're secretly a twist villain?
No, not yet. I'm not done with my character arc.
Oh, we don't have any
arch
in this film.
Arch. See, I'm not done. Once I learn how to say that word, then I'll do my twist.
Alright, let's get going.
So, Inside Out.
Inside Out.
I'm just going to go ahead, jump right into our little story description.
Do it.
Riley is an 11-year-old girl whose life is going pretty good. She's on the hockey team at school. She's got a great family, a best friend ever, and then she moves to San Fran State Town.
Then all of a sudden, some strange things are happening to her. Wait, wrong movie.
Wrong movie. Because in this movie, it's all about Riley's internal struggle to deal with her emotions, who are all people who just live inside her head. She's not schizophrenic. It's a movie.
Well, you see other people do it too.
Yeah. It's just a thing that everyone has several.
Yeah, so Riley's emotions, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, they're doing all right until the whole move thing happens. Joy is very insistent about making sure Riley is happy. That's her main motivation in life. Her goal is to keep Riley happy no matter what, and that becomes increasingly difficult as the move puts a strain on Riley, her family, a whole bunch of things.
Oof.
And it really starts to come out on the first day at Riley's new school, where no matter what Joy seems to do, Sadness just tries to ruin everything. Not intentionally. We love Sadness.
We do love Sadness.
But Sadness ends up making Riley cry in class, which is pretty bad. It causes a new core memory to form, which core memories form the basis for Riley's personality, and Joy just can't have that. She tries to get rid of it, but as it turns out, she and Sadness and Joy get sucked up and shot out of headquarters.
Oh my gosh, she thought that opinion was trash.
There's the catchphrase.
So they both end up in long-term memory, far, far away from headquarters, and without Joy there and without the core memories there, Riley has no personality and can't feel happiness at all, which is really not good.
Hello, are we still there?
Yeah, hello.
We're still here.
Okay,
we didn't
lost
mute you. Well, to continue on, Joy tries to get back to headquarters so she can put the core memories back in Riley's little noggin, but is foiled at pretty much every attempt as Riley's emotional state deteriorates rapidly. Sadness and Joy try to make their way through long-term memory, trying to find any bridge they can to get back to headquarters, and they run into Bing Bong, the best imaginary friend ever.
Oh, Bing Bong.
Bing Bong, we stan.
We do stand for Bing Bong.
Bing Bong tries to help them out by taking them to the train of thought. It causes a few wacky hijinks on the way there, but eventually they find the train, and even that fails. Riley falls asleep, and the train of thought no longer runs. They try to wake her up, and Bing Bong does a very good job of getting captured and taken into the subconscious. Way to go, Bing. But they break him out, manage to scare Riley awake at the same time. But the train still cannot make it, because as another island of personality collapses, it throws the train off tracks. And largely that happens because the other emotions are trying to get Riley to run away, run back to Minnesota and make new core memories. It's an attempt. They're trying their best. So, as the last island crumbles, as Riley is about to leave to Minnesota, Joy tries to jump in a recall tube, but she and Bing Bong end up in the memory dump instead, the place where all memories go to be forgotten for good. They are able to escape using Bing Bong's rocket. However, our good boy, our good imaginary boy, he's not able to come with, and he gets forgotten for good. It's very sad. So Joy is able to find Sadness, who's...
I keep losing it.
Daniel?
Keep trying, Jaren.
We've lost Jaren.
Hello?
Jaren, maybe you have bad Wi-Fi. Jaren. I'm going to text him. Let's see.
I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to text.
Hello?
Oh, I'm going to text. Okay. Jaren. Wait. Okay. Get better Wi-Fi. You must move. My duckling. He said, okay, nerd, I can hear you.
All right.
The audience couldn't.
He was briefly coming through every now and again. Jaren, say something if you
Hello.
can. Okay.
Say something, I'm giving up on you.
All right.
Train of thought got off the tracks there.
Ha, ha, good reference. I slapped my knee.
Back to the movie. Right. Joy manages to catch up to Sadness, who is convinced she's bad for Riley. They're both able to get back into headquarters with an epic tower of imaginary boyfriends.
Yes.
I love that that's a sentence that can exist.
Yeah.
And
die for Riley.
I live in Canada.
They all look like Harry Styles.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
So Joy and Sadness manage to get back into headquarters as the bus is leaving. Riley has gone completely catatonic. She cannot feel any more emotions, but Sadness is able to break through and remove the idea from her head. Riley realizes that what she's doing is absolutely insane and not a decision made under the best of circumstances. So she runs home to her family and it happens. The moment that always gets me happens. Joy gives all the happy core memories to Sadness, letting them turn blue, reminding Riley of all her happy memories in Minnesota and not allowing her to escape the fact that she is sad. But it's okay, because that sadness is what leads to happiness when she and her family are able to grow closer together through the moment. Is so good. We get a new core memory that's both blue and gold, because Riley has matured emotionally to the point where she can experience things multiple different ways in multiple different forms. And it leads to a new, stronger set of personality traits, which she will take with her into puberty, as the film suggests.
Yes.
It's so good.
It is quite good.
There are so many things I want to say. I have so many mental notes. Just a good job to the making of the idea of this movie. It's just such a good idea.
It really is.
The whole thing. And it works so well. Just the way they do like the references, even like the I keep saying a lot, but the commercial, like the jingle getting stuck in your head, or the little jokes they say, like, oh, she doesn't need these phone numbers, and how they connect them into the whole storyline, like it is your brain, and it's great.
I thought it was lovely.
I love that
there's... Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was afraid I'd lost y'all again.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're good.
I love that like the actual representation of like brain activities and the imagination stuff more or less coexists. Like there are unicorns and French fry forests running around in the same area as Riley's like memories and concept of abstraction. It's amazing.
Hey,
the abstract sequence is one of my...
Jaren?
The abstract sequence is one of my favorites in all of Pixar in terms of animation.
Really?
Well, I mean,
in terms of animation and visuals, yes.
I have an issue with that scene, actually.
Oh my! Well,
spill the tea, sis.
The animation is beautiful, but I felt like it was kind of in there just to be, look what we can do. Our animation's so advanced. It doesn't really have anything to do with the story, but let us show you our fancy tricks, which is wonderful. But it was
I think Pixar deserves the right to flex every now and then.
Yeah, but it was like a very... I've said like 50 times. Someone stop me. It was a very obvious flex. They do deserve it, but
it is a bit of an obvious flex. I I contend that it's not really a story problem, though, because it lets us know Bing Bong ain't the smartest, which had not really been established yet. He had been more of a goofy comic relief type of thing in the few minutes
she did create him when she was like 3, so.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like you can sort of infer that, though.
And it further builds on just a running theme of Joy not really trusting or respecting Sadness's ideas and being too impatient. Because they could have gone around and been safe, but it would have taken forever.
True.
So it really just goes to show like Joy just being more focused on getting home than really anything else, even her own safety.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's beautiful and it's very entertaining to watch. I just felt it was slightly out of place, and the concept of it, I just questioned. But it is beautiful and it's well executed. So that was really one of my only complaints for the movie, is that sometimes it seems a little bit, look what we can do. But other than that, there aren't many other things that bother me. I'm sure as we talk, I'll think of maybe a few notes I have, but I really like this movie.
It's like for the last several films, Pixar keeps upping their visual game.
Mm-hmm. They had really good visuals in this movie. I love Sadness's hair.
Yeah.
I love her hair.
Just,
and I like
just
Joy's
character
too.
designs in general, the way they kind of like bubble and fizz at the edges.
I think it's interesting that Joy has blue hair, actually. Foreshadowing?
I mean, that's her whole character right there. She needs to understand that happiness and sadness can coexist, and like her head literally looks like the core memory at the end. Like,
yes. I don't know if that is supposed to be a little bit of foreshadowing. I've just always noticed that. Even when I was younger and saw the movie, at first when I saw the advertisements, I was like, why is Joy's hair blue? That's Sadness's color.
Well, I think that now leads us into personal connections.
oh boy, do I have one of those for this movie.
Spill the tea, sis. Oh, both.
All right. So, if Inside Out had come out 5 years earlier, I would have no qualms about calling it my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that largely comes that comes from the headspace I was at back in that time period, 4 or 5 years before this movie.
This came out in 2015.
Yes.
The year we both started college.
I was 13. Yeah, this was a prime movie.
Or as a youngin'.
I was in the beginning teens. It was rough.
You were beginning teens, Daniel and I were beginning college.
So, for me, in middle school, pretty much when I was Riley's age, I had a bit of emotional growth of my own to do. As a kid, I was very emotional, big happiness, big sadness, all of that. As like the time came for me to start 6th grade, my parents just kind of pulled me aside and just said, Daniel, kids in middle school, they will make fun of you if you are too emotional, if you cry in front of them and stuff like that. And so I started internalizing that little bit of advice a little too heavily, to the point where I was constantly trying to repress any sadness, a lot of emotions in general, and they could leak out in some really bad instances. We'll just say the scene of Riley crying in front of her class, that hits home in a way that's almost uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so So had this movie come out, you know, like I said, 5 years earlier, at the moment I needed it most, I would have loved it to bits even more than I currently do. Because yeah, the core idea of sadness being an important and vital emotion, that's something I needed to hear back then.
Yeah, and absolutely.
And it's a very similar thing to what happens to Riley. Like her mom asks her to keep being happy because it's good for the family unit as a whole, but it's also not fair to put that kind of burden on a child, especially one who doesn't have the emotional intelligence to handle it.
Yeah, that part gets me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what Inside Out means to me more than anything. It is a sharp reflection of my past, in more ways than one.
Okay.
Your turn, Jaron.
Well, like I said, this came out when I was starting. I think it literally came out the day I graduated high school, but or like maybe right after it. But either way, I actually didn't catch it in theaters because I was doing other things. But I managed to watch it on Blu-ray when it came out, and that was during my freshman year. First semester of freshman year, and obviously I was looking forward to seeing it because just big Pixar fan, and I kept up all the trailers and stuff, and thought it looked neat. And the first time I saw it, I really enjoyed it, and definitely had like an emotional connection to it. But it was really more the second time I watched it, which was about 2 or so years ago. As I've mentioned before, probably now, well, in the past, I used to try to repress feelings and just kind of hold them back and just deal with things myself. I don't know why, because my whole life I've always had big feelings, as my parents put it, and I couldn't agree more as to what it is. Sometimes they're just not describable because it's hard to put into words what I feel about other people, what I feel about myself, what I feel about the world. It's a lot. And so yeah, I would try to hold things back to the point that eventually it would just kind of boil over like a pot of water. It would get too close and just boil too much, whether it was happiness, sadness, even anger sometimes. I would just hold it back so much that it would become too much for me to handle. And I still do have like anxiety attacks sometimes, and often from just when emotions get to be too much, when things get to feel like too much. But this movie, it has a message of realizing that all emotions are important. They're all valid. They're all okay. Keeping them in check and keeping them balanced makes you just more of a well-balanced human being. And so I'm really thankful this movie exists. I guess I didn't need it to teach me that, but it helped me, realize that further. But maybe it taught other people the same lesson. So I really like this movie for that. It has a very emotionally mature message to it because we're all human. We all have our own feelings, and I think if you deny your feelings, you're almost denying parts of yourself. And I want to feel things more completely and be my complete self, and that includes being happy and being sad and loving my family and loving my friends and loving myself. So yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yay!
Well, Nora, follow up that.
I did the counts in my head. So I was 13 in 7th grade when I saw this movie. And I know I saw it in theaters. I don't know if I've really seen it fully since when I watched it again. The first time I saw it, I don't know if I cried or not. I probably did because I just thought it was sad and I don't know what to say because if you know me, I don't share my feelings ever. Well, not ever, but not a great aspect of myself because I do not want to burden people. Also, I feel as if I can't internalize it. And
I wonder who that sounds like.
Yeah, and so it made me feel better hearing both of y'all. But also,
Remember when I told you I see a lot of my younger self in you?
Well, anyway, I've always kind of been like that just for reasons. And I'm trying to find the right words here. I feel as if maybe even just hearing y'all now, I realized how much I related to it. And especially because when I was in middle school then, I was like me times 10 on the happy train. And I've realized in the last probably like 2 or 3 years, it's okay to share your feelings. I don't typically like spilling them out to everyone and just pouring them just because I'm a more private person.
Yeah.
And I've realized it's
That's
okay.
okay.
It's fine. And I've gotten better about it. I've talked to some very close companions, or just one, but and watching it this time, the line where Riley says, and she starts crying and saying, "I don't be mad. I know you want me to be happy all the time, but I can't." I felt that. I felt that on a whole new level. That line specifically. Also, there are things in this movie. When I was little, I also had an imaginary friend, but not really to that extent. The only reason I had an imaginary friend is because I thought it was cool to have an imaginary friend.
It's in vogue.
And so I was like,
cool
oh,
kids have
that's
imaginary friends.
depression. Bing bong. And so I feel as if I relate to Riley a lot. She reminds me a lot of myself, except I'm more figuring out myself even right now as we speak, just hearing y'all talk and beforehand. So that's as far as I'd like to go into that, because
Is
now I
this
feel...
episode just going to become group therapy?
I hope not.
It might be.
No.
The thing
Please
is
no.
Inside Out does to us.
Please no. I've already said too much for me. That is going to stress me out at 12 a.m. I'm going to think, oh Lord, Nora, you have talked too much.
Hey, kid.
I'm fine. I don't get emotional on me.
No, I'm saying we accept you the way you are.
You're great, Nora.
Thank you. I know I'm fabulous. I'm just
We
kidding.
couldn't find a better biggest fan.
Well, actually, that's Avery.
Yeah, we couldn't find a better
We couldn't
third.
find a... Yeah.
Thanks. Y'all are sweet. But yeah, this movie's great.
It is, yeah.
Oh, God. So, yeah.
It makes me feel better that everyone related to it in about the same way. So that's good.
Oh, yeah. This movie is broad enough that it can appeal to pretty much anybody who's had an experience like Riley's. It also feels specific enough that it can speak personally to the individual, which is a really difficult balance to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it freaks me out when movies do that. I don't like that.
Andrew Stanton, you are 3 for 3. I mean, Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, you're 3 for 3.
Yes, this is Pete Docter.
Andrew Stanton is 2 for 3, but we'll get there later.
Yeah, so there. I don't know if you guys saw the story of how Pete Docter came to make this movie.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Nora, you probably haven't, knowing you.
Thank you. Thank
This
you.
Hey, at least we're honest
is
around here.
One day, I'm gonna surprise y'all. I'm gonna know everything. I'm not gonna tell you which movie, but one of these movies, I'm gonna do extensive research. I'm gonna blow
yes.
your minds away. And
We'd be
they'll
very
probably
proud.
all end
Blow
up
us
being
all away.
wrong, but that's okay.
Well,
Wait, what about Pete Doctor?
so Pete
He's
Docter,
3 for 3.
the writer and director of this movie, as well as Up and Monsters, Inc. So this is very much based on his experience with his daughter, who was Riley's age when her personality also went under a bit of a shift. And he made this film as a way of like coming to terms with like his daughter maturing a little bit. And he also had like extensive like rewrites to make for it. Because originally this movie was not joy and sadness on an adventure, it was joy and fear.
Oh.
Which is
And
a
he kept-
weird combo.
Yeah, and he kept trying to like make this movie about why the emotion fear is like important and vital, you know. And he kept running up against brick wall after brick wall trying to make the script until he finally had that breakthrough where it's not fear but sadness. And that's how the story we know it today really got started.
That would have been a hot mess.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked as well.
Although I do love what dang it, I forgot his name again. I forget
Bill
everyone's
Hader.
name. Who's the man that voices fear?
Bill Hader.
Him. I love him. Even though I can't remember his gosh dang name. Dang it, Nora.
Yeah, all the
He's
voice
great.
acting
He's
is
great in just about. Oh, the voice acting in this movie is fantastic.
so good.
Wonderful.
I mean,
Phyllis from The Office as Sadness.
Love
Lucas
that.
Black as anger is just
What I love
Perfect.
is that all the emotions act like Riley. They have the 11-year-old kind of mental state because they're, even with the broccoli, they're like, oh, broccoli, it's disgusting. Or I like, especially how anger, you see it most in anger, in my opinion, because he says mom and dad specifically. It's not the people they refer to. They are Riley.
yeah.
And
It's
they say mom and dad aren't appreciating us. We need to do this. And it's really in that young state that hasn't matured enough to realize that running away is not necessarily a good idea. Especially, it just, you could tell
Yeah,
it was
it's-
not fully thought out.
this movie to me is very similar to Toy Story and very different at the same time.
Exactly.
It has the same growing up aspect, but it really.
I mean, it's also got that same like it's a group of people looking after a kid who's their kid. It's just the toys in Toy Story were sort of adults who saw themselves as nurturing a child.
Yeah.
And these
Going
are
back to the father theory.
you know, and these are emotions who are this person very much.
Joy really like her mom to me.
Oh yeah, Joy. More than any others, Joy does feel like a mother figure, but she is also very much in that 11-year-old mentality, like the rest of them.
Yeah, definitely. She
It would
can't
be
care.
so easy to make them into stereotypes, but they feel like fleshed out characters. Even characters like Fear and Disgust, who we don't really see very much.
Yeah, I mean, like you get the sense, like Disgust. Yeah, she's got that typical, too good for everything vibe, but she's also the smart one of the group.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say she's really smart. She's the one that gets them back into headquarters.
Yeah,
But-
and
Well, if you think about it, disgust is resourceful. The concept of disgust, if you taste something that's gross, you don't like it, could be poisonous.
Fear. I love the dream sequence with Fear where he's just. It's a great subversion. You would expect him to be like easily terrified, and instead he's just so over it with the dreams.
Yeah,
My
that's kind of
favorite
how fear can work.
my favorite moments are actually when you can see into other people's emotions.
Oh, of course.
Oh
I
yeah,
think secrets
the
are
family
so
dinner
fun.
scene
The family
was
dinner
so
scene is
great.
the best thing I've ever seen. But even at the end, like during the end credits, where you actually see the clown's point of view,
Yeah, and
like
he's an
Uh-huh.
actor.
years of acting
And the
school,
bus driver who just has 5 angers.
or the boy she's interested in, girl, girl, girl.
That's
Alert.
exactly how it is as a teenage boy, and maybe as a early 20-somethings boy. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, it's used to such great effect, and I love how Riley, who's in that state of flux, who doesn't quite have her personality to figure it out, is the one with the most diverse set of emotions, whereas everybody else who is more like comfortable in their personalities, their emotions are more conformed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, all of her emotions are of different genders.
Yes.
Ah, yes, the 5 genders.
Yes.
I get what you were saying, Jaren. She's the only one who has
Mixed genders.
mixed gendered emotions, basically.
Yeah, all the dads are dressed like dad, and all the moms are dressed like mom. But then her personalities are different. I guess it's because she hasn't figured herself out yet.
Yeah. Well, I think Pete Docter said even regarding the genders, it's more random depending on the person.
Mm. I found it interesting because it seemed in each person that there was one emotion that was a leader. Like anger was a leader in dad, joy's the leader in
Yes.
Riley, sadness is the leader in mom, and I found that very interesting. But
Yeah.
sadness didn't really act like sadness. She was more calm and collected, and she acted like her mom as a whole. And I found that weird that sadness was playing that role,
And that would
especially
be me,
compared
wouldn't
to
it?
Riley's.
It was interesting to me. I think
I think
it's part of that
first,
just like
yeah.
like her emotions are just more tempered and like
Mhm.
it's not that sadness is the dominant one, but it's the one that feels more in control simply because like I mean her mom is not like a fearful person, not an easily disgusted person, not a very angry person.
But not a very
But
happy person
yeah,
either.
you also get the sense like she's not, happy all the time the way Riley is
She
constantly
seems
trying.
calm. I feel as I get calmness from her,
Yeah,
so it
I,
kind of
I
makes
feel like
sense.
that was the logic for it.
But maybe that's just how adults are. I think I'm an adult.
But her sadness
This is
is so
being an
different
adult,
from
sad all the time.
her
Oh, yeah.
sadness is so different from Riley's. I think that is the point that each emotion is different for for each person.
You are
Yeah,
correct, young Jedi.
Thank you,
and it
Master
probably will be
Skywalker.
like as Riley grows up that Joy will be the more leadership role. Like she's definitely, especially at the end of this film, she's like really understood like what her role is, and it's not making Riley happy all the time, but it's doing what's best for Riley.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the idea of all the emotions that's so carefully laid out in the opening narration is that they all kind of exist to get Riley back to that state of happiness. Like we see, like the child Riley, like disgust, anger, fear. They only step in when something's wrong, and once they've done their thing, they see the console back to joy every time,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's
Well,
only
this
'cause joy.
raises a psychological question. Is there a default base emotion?
That's what I was thinking because it seems like there is in each person that we see.
Yeah, and I think this film asserts that joy is the original emotion, but with the whole opening thing about joy being quote unquote born
Yeah.
first.
Okay, this is switching gears on the topic of the movie, but please tell me that both of you imagined what islands would be in your head.
Oh, yes.
I definitely did. I sat there and I was like, this would be in there, this would be in there. I think that would be in there too.
Yeah, it's
Because I'm a very complicated person. I'm either like really broody and, serious, or just a big goof.
I feel like
if you have coffee, you're a big goof.
I feel like I have a bunch of islands clustered in one area, and then there's like Introvert Island, like as far away from the others as
Oh,
Yes, same here.
oh no.
There's Caffeine Island for me, which is either Anxiety Town or Hyperfast Turbo Speedway.
It's an island split in two, and one side's like drastically happy, and the other one is anxiety town.
Oh yeah.
You've seen me on Caffeine Superhighway.
Mine's probably like interest-wise would be probably like Broadway Boulevard.
I like that. I like that a lot.
That's good.
Piano Woman Island. Get it, Piano Man. Ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot to tell you something, Daniel. This young lady performed. We were at the cast party for Les Mis, and one of our castmates asked her to perform something on piano, a very specific piece of music for me. And he gave her the music, and do 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 do.
I never.
This young lady performed Giorno's theme on piano.
I didn't know what it was. He just told me to look it up, and I was like, okay. It's like, it'll make Jaren happy. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was very surprised
looking
when
at my shoulder. I kept looking at my shoulder to like him that requested me to play it. I said, does this sound like it?
I was off doing something else, and then he pulled me over and was like, she has something to play for you.
Yep.
That's great.
Thank you. And my third, it'd probably be like Looney Tunes Island, even though I don't really watch Looney Tunes. That's just my cartoony named island. I would call my friendship island Hufflepuff Island.
Same here. I'm Hufflepuff.
And then there'd be a sports island, because I like the sports.
It'd be a big stadium.
Jaren, I feel like you'd have an emotional anecdotes island at this point.
It would be like my office, basically. It'd be like a little library, and there's a fireplace, and just a place for me to sit and think.
I think I'd have an island specifically for cookie dough, because I have a serious obsession. It's really bad.
It's like that TikTok Olivia scent of the mommy.
Like I've eaten like a whole.
I forgot to make cookies. You
I haven't like died from salmonella, but I've eaten like a whole roll of cookie dough. Like those big tubs, my friends will give them to me, and they'll be gone like in a weekend. It's not okay.
You really are the Mabel Pines of this podcast.
Mabel, my Mabel.
You just have a Waddles Island somewhere in your head.
Oh my god.
Oh, she would.
They are dressed up as Waddles.
My favorite Gravity Falls character is Stanford, and that's probably the one I'm most like.
Mine is Mabel.
Wait, no. Well, who am I kidding? I'm very much a dip. I'm just Dipper growing up. I'm just Dipper 10 years later.
You're definitely Dipper.
I mean, if I got to choose, I'd be Quentin Tremblay III, but...
You would. You totally would be.
Oh my gosh.
It's worth the nothing.
I said Daniel gave me windy vibes, and I didn't know why.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know why.
Okay, our train of thought has left the station.
I see what you did there, you dirty rotten.
Yeah.
I did it earlier too.
So there's a character I want to talk about.
Is it Bing Bong? It's Bing
It's
Bong.
Bing
isn't
Bong.
it? Yeah.
I'm convinced at some point in the script he was going to be a twist villain.
It was. I swear I watched a thing where I swear I actually know about this. He was supposed to be a twist villain. He was supposed to want to get back into Riley's memory so desperately that he interfered to do it.
Yeah, I'm really glad they did not go that route in the end because I think this film is a lot stronger without a villain.
Yeah.
I would have been
Doesn't even
creeped
really
out.
have an antagonist.
I would
have
argue-
been creeped out if Bing Bong was a villain because I would have nightmares because he's so already borderline freaky just because he's like a hybrid thing, but he's so joyful.
Chimera.
It'd be like Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know. It would freak me out.
Yeah. I feel like Joy is pretty much this film's antagonist, or as close as it
really
gets.
is.
Kind of like how Woody is the antagonist in Toy Story 1.
Yeah, again, I mean, Pete Docter wrote both, so it makes sense that there's overlap here, but
There are some similarities between the two, for sure.
No, Joy gets on my nerves, but then I realized, oh no, Nora, that actually sounds like one of your islands that would bring Joy's motive in there, and it's called Perfectionist Island.
Oh, the chairs. The chairs.
yeah, I think
Bring up the chairs, Jaren.
well, I feel like I teased this a couple episodes ago, but Joy is probably my favorite Pixar character.
What?
Really?
Yes, really.
No, really?
Yes, really. I mean, I know that she's annoying. That's the point of her character, especially
the
early on.
point.
I love the way that she functions as both a protagonist and antagonist in this film. I love the way that journey takes her. I fully empathize and completely understand like every action she takes throughout the film.
Yeah.
And probably because this movie like, resonates so strongly with like my own personal life is probably why it affects me so much, her journey, like just on a deep level. But yeah, she's my favorite character.
Yeah, I think I need to admit that the second time I watched it, the first time I watched it, I did not like Joy. I mean, I liked her fine enough. Like, I didn't hate her or anything, but she was definitely my least favorite character. But as I watched it this time, I liked her more. She's still not my favorite, but I emphasize her, and I think it's because she does remind me of the negative traits in myself, like perfectionist things, and I don't like it when if that happens. But I got her motive more clearly. I'm not saying I'm exactly like that or anything, but because it does get on my nerves that she can't just see the solution and figure out that she needs her friends and she needs the support from Sadness. But I got the motives a lot more clearly watching it this time. So I feel Joy's a character I'll appreciate more with age.
Yeah.
I mean, I clearly...
Sadness.
I got too
my
deep
favorite.
again. Gosh darn it.
Sadness is just like every millennial.
Sadness is a mood.
Oh,
That's what sadness
that would explain why sadness is my favorite.
Why
She
are you
also-
crying? It helps me obsess over the weight of life's problems.
Me.
Sadness also got on my nerves a lot in the
Well,
first time I watched it, but now she's just
That was very much their intent. Like the filmmakers made Sadness as annoying as they could in that early bit, mostly to not make Joy as annoying by comparison.
Yeah, they both
That I
got
find
on my
hilarious.
nerves equally in
The last time I actually cried, I think, was in front of Nora.
Oh no. That took a dramatic turn, Jaren.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah, it was. He was fine. He just missed me as a friend. I'm just kidding. I love you, Jaren.
Today I learned Laura keeps track of all the times Jaren cries.
No, I just saw that one. Are you
She
okay,
saw
Jaren?
that one. No, I'm fine.
Okay,
There
good.
have been little tear-up incidents since
You know
then,
what's
but,
made
you know.
me cry? Ugh. Y'all have to stop making me emotional. I can't.
This is the wrong movie, sister.
I can't
We
emotion.
watched a movie about why feeling emotional is a good thing.
Ah!
And why sadness itself is good as well.
Yes, I like the message it spreads at the end very, very much. That it is okay to have mixed emotions and multiple emotions factoring in to determine your choices and live a happy life. And it's okay to not feel okay.
Yeah. Human beings are complicated.
Yeah,
You're
I love
No one is one-dimensional.
the way the movie portrays depression too, because it's
Yes.
a lot more nuanced than pretty much any other film.
Yes, absolutely.
Because depression isn't just, oh, I'm real sad. It's, I can't feel emotions.
Yeah, or
Just kind of-
shutting yourself off from the rest of the world. I
Just
know
a little
how
bit
that
dead.
feels. Yeah.
And I mean, it was chaos in her head, but she was shut off from that chaos because it was so overwhelming.
Yeah. Locking yourself up in a room where you can't connect to anyone. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job.
It's also important to me that the emotions don't one-to-one control Riley's decisions. They're very much influencing her. But the film reinforces it. When anger puts the idea in her head, it's oh, she took it. She could have.
I have something to say. Broccoli on pizza is not that bad.
What is wrong with you? I'm just kidding. I think I'd actually like broccoli and pizza because I really like veggie pizza.
Pineapple pizza is also beautiful and I love it.
Fear of broccoli, apparently.
I actually thought the pizza looked good when they first saw it because it had a lot of cheese and it was
I know.
thin, and I was like, that does not look that bad.
I am a pizza dude, connoisseur.
I mean, do keep in mind this movie is still very much meant for families, so that's very much a moment for the kids in the audience as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, fun fact.
Broccoli.
Fun and fresh fact. In the Japanese version, instead of broccoli, it's peppers, because bell peppers in Japan is apparently the gross food of kids in Japan.
It's
Really?
great.
Yeah, which is weird because peppers is such a just a normal topping on pizza, as opposed to broccoli, but still.
I was gonna say I feel like peppers don't have a ton of flavor, but then again, broccoli doesn't either. I like broccoli cooked. Broccoli cooked has tons of flavor. I still
Steamed
like
broccoli
uncooked too. Uncooked, I just like it with ranch or hummus. Hummus.
I love hummus.
Yum.
Hummus is
I
my
love
favorite
hummus.
food.
Hummus is so good.
Favorite food right here.
That's really your favorite?
Maybe favorite snack food. Yeah, hummus and pita chips.
My favorite snack food is peanut butter and honey mixed together. But
Not Uncrustables?
Okay, that's my favorite lunch meal thing that's literally happened this year. This is so off topic. But most kindergartners that walk in with their Uncrustables? Yes. I'm in 11th grade and I just got into Uncrustables this year. And now if I'm at play rehearsal and I don't have time for dinner, I shove an Uncrustable in my mouth. Or if I'm at school, there is most likely an Uncrustable in my lunchbox half the time.
I could have sworn you just have just an unlimited surplus of them in some kind of bag.
No,
That's
this
great.
literally started probably about 2 months ago.
Nora just has a Bing Bong bag, but it's full of Uncrustables.
Yeah.
That used to be me with Capri Suns, though, as a kid.
I love Capri Suns.
I would have had a Capri Sun island just shaped like a Capri Sun, just
Just
floating in the distance, because it consumed my every thought. Because I probably took 3 of those things back to my room because I chug them like water. I was just recently informed of how much sugar was in them. And I was like, oh, so that's why I was like that.
You and maple syrup.
Okay, listen, I will also eat syrup in the spoonful. And don't judge me. It just happens. I love sugar.
Nor is Buddy the Elf confirmed.
That's what I
She
said.
really is.
I said I love syrup or however you say it. Don't come at me. And like in mass amounts, and I eat it like Buddy the Elf.
I want to be the dad in the musical.
In Buddy the Elf? Yeah.
There's a musical of it.
I'd want to be Buddy the Elf.
You would. You'd be fantastic.
You'd make a great Buddy. What's your favorite color?
I had a Baja Blast Zero from Taco Bell earlier.
Where did that come from?
Seriously,
We were,
Jaren.
we were talking about drink
His
items.
emotions just like randomly spawned a memory.
Amazed. We'll be like in the middle of a conversation, and there'll be like one word that remotely reminds you of something that's totally different but could relate to it. Like that was pretty on topic. But I find it fascinating when you do that, and it's always.
But have I done this?
You just like in conversation. I love it. It's like random little facts, like I did this and da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, that's where he got that. But I find it so entertaining. It is a good personality trait.
Cool, thank you.
But I do find it fun to trace where the heck you get some things from.
Jaren's personality island of out of context memories.
But they're always like slightly in context. You just have to figure it out.
So my little aside about Baja Blast Zero from Taco Bell is...
That wasn't like the most, but yeah, that fits into that category.
What I was going to say was I'm a little caffeinated at the moment.
Oh, he's a caffeinated boy.
There we go.
I mean, this isn't my final form, but like...
He's got the coffee.
I recently installed a Keurig in my room at my workplace.
The caffeine island wasn't a joke.
Oh, no. It is Decaf Island, my boy.
Oh, no.
He drinks decaf coffee.
Because I have to, or else I'll be a big mess.
Oh, no.
As if I'm not enough one already.
You are perfect just the way you are.
See, you do that as well. You have the little songs that come out of nowhere.
Oh, Jaren. I have a whole island for that. I do that within conversation at least 20 times. I
know, that's what I'm bringing up to attention because I know you.
What's your core memory for that is?
That and your mom, I have to restrain myself so much on the podcast. I even made your mom joke like 10 minutes ago, but I don't think anyone heard it. So.
I didn't hear it, but I knew.
About your mom? I love your mom.
My mother is amazing, yes.
I love your mom.
Your mother is great as well. I'm very, very fond of your mother.
Ellen Jones is dope. I'm so sorry we've gotten so off track.
I think I met Daniel's mom once, like very briefly.
Very briefly.
Daniel, I need to meet your mother.
Well, all right.
You two have sort of met before too, which is funny.
I met Daniel.
We were at the same karaoke and volleyball party.
He sang Weird Al.
Yeah, we talked
and
about
I think we played on opposing volleyball teams too.
That's right. We did talk about this on another podcast.
Anyway, let's keep going. I don't even remember where we are. I found something. My advent calendar that I didn't finish.
Congratulations.
Oh, I know another island in my brain. Competition Island. I'm a very competitive person. Continue.
I'm more competitive than you.
There's no way.
Chocolate.
So,
wait, chocolate?
I was going to get back to the movie for a moment, if we could.
Sorry.
So, I think... trying to think where I was picking up. So this movie, I think the reason it gets so sad, it has like 2 gut punches back to back, and they aren't even the big ending one. It's like you have joy coming to terms with like the importance of sadness in the memory dump, and then like right after that is Bing Bong's death. That is a 1-2 punch. It's hard to orchestrate that in a screenplay, and they pulled it off.
Bing Bong's storyline is the one that really, I think, connects to Toy Story the most. Because it was
he has to
really
realize he's been outgrown, and he cares about Riley so much that he's willing to be forgotten so she'll be happy.
But once he sees how old Riley is, I think he kind of understands that, wow, she's older. She's not the little kid she used to be. And Bing Bong also matures. He realizes what needs to be done. He makes the ultimate sacrifice. His storyline is devastating. And to think he's just wandering around all that time doing nothing, just waiting for Riley to think of him again.
Yeah, if there was one change I could make to this movie, because we get that final moment with Bing Bong, take her to the moon for me. I would have liked to see like a moment where Joy pushes Riley towards an astronomy interest or something to kind of cement that.
Oh,
I don't know about that, because that would be a whole personality shift. What I would have liked is if maybe, okay, you know how they sort of do the pan at the end of the movie at Up, where you see the house made it to DeSoto Falls?
Mm-hmm.
If the rocket had maybe been pushed to a certain location that I don't know where, but that seems significant to where, well, I guess the rocket was...
Well, the rocket was smashed up. I mean, I don't think it'd be out of character for Riley to get an interest in space. She had, all those stars on her ceiling. Remember, she really, hasn't. She's fond of it in a way.
I don't know. I just sort of wish there was a little. I don't know. Actually, I really liked the way Bing Bong went, because it really was his time to go, and I feel if there had been an allusion to it, well, I guess that'd be sweet that her child.
Riley didn't need to remember Bing Bong, because that would undo his death.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Pete Docter films. Pixar generally doesn't kill off characters.
Yeah.
But deaths in Pete Docter's films stick. Ellie dies, Bing Bong dies. And then you have Andrew Stanton, who will erase Wally's memories, but not really. Nemo's dead, but not really.
Those were annoying moments. I was annoyed. I was personally annoyed.
Yeah, and they don't really have any deaths in the Toy Story films. I mean, Gusteau dies in Ratatouille, but that's before everything.
Yeah, I really just can't get on to the Wally Express.
It's all about the death.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the only person who dies throughout the course of the film is Nana Coco herself, and that's only at the very, very end. And even then, her death is a happy thing, because then she can be with her dad again.
Yeah, it was a good moment.
Spoilers!
Jaren, our audience has had 2 years to see that movie now. The spoiler talk is in public domain for Coco.
You should
Sorry.
please do an edit and just your voice in the next 10 seconds. There will be a spoiler to Coco. Please skip if you have not seen the film.
A movie that came out over 2 years ago.
I mean, keep in mind, all of our podcast episodes so far have been spoiling everything about these movies. We have never
spoiling the movies we're covering.
Yeah, but we never put a spoiler warning in.
That's
all right, fair. My apologies, and my apologies for the ASMR noises earlier while I was eating chocolate.
No, that apology is trash. I apologize for nothing.
First my opinion, now my apology. What else is trash? Forky's trash.
The society and Wally.
The society that we live in.
And I oop.
And I oop.
I really can't get aboard the Wally Express. I love the themes and stuff, but just the movie, I can't. And I'm trying. I'm really trying. I just...
You have a core memory for Wall-E dislike.
Yeah, I really do. I really can't get past it. It's at the bottom of my Pixar list currently. Not the very bottom, but it's in the bottom 3. And I'm sorry. And I don't even fully know why. I'm just sorry. That's what I'm sorry for.
Well, this movie is easily in my top 3 so far. I mean, I said earlier, like, it would probably be my favorite movie of all time if it had just come out when I was in middle school.
My top 3 still hasn't changed, but it's, close.
Yeah, Inside Out's just a good movie.
It's great. No, I love it.
Yeah, and that scene with the family, with Sadness getting the core memories and finally turning them blue, like it. I don't know, man. That hits me.
Yeah.
Also, Nora bailed.
Oh no, we've lost her.
Nora, what happened?
We sent her a message.
I sent her 2. We'll see if she responds. Oh, man. Yeah, I've been waiting for this rewatch for a while, and
I'm sure.
I mean, this isn't one of my favorite Pixar. It's one of my favorite movies. Like, it's...
Oh, I know.
It is very much for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has been dethroned, I will say, as my favorite story dealing with middle schoolers repressing their emotions, which is a very specific kind of style.
I know what movie.
Oh, no, not a movie.
I want to. I love Bo Burnham.
No, I'm not talking about 8th grade. I'm talking about something entirely different. I don't know if you heard about the anime Mob Psycho 100. It is...
Hello?
Don't tell me you're losing it now. Is your connection still good?
I can hear you.
Okay.
My messages might are not delivered. Maybe your phone died or something. That is bizarre.
We'll have to figure out what went wrong when she gets back. But yeah, as I was saying, there she is. Nora, we
Sorry,
lost.
I fell into the memory dump. My phone died.
That's great.
Oh, she back.
Don't worry, we didn't forget about you.
I pulled a bing bong.
No,
Actually,
you're stuck in our heads like tripled in gum.
Actually, I pulled a joy because I
Wait, Olivia just messaged us.
What did I miss? Did I miss a lot?
Not really. Just us wondering where you were.
I was transitioning from talking about Inside Out to
There's so many texts for me.
my personal favorite story of all time.
Ah. My mom.
Because it and Inside Out share a lot of similarities. But
Gotcha.
we don't need to worry about it. I'll make you guys watch it one of these days.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I was monitoring my phone battery. I always seem to be on super low battery whenever we do these.
I plug my laptop in to be charged like the second I open Skype because I know we talk for a while.
I feel awful though, and I swear my phone reviving took 20 million times longer than it normally does.
Don't worry.
It was a horrible experience. Actually, I didn't pull a Bing Bong. I pulled a Joy because I went to the memory dump and came back. So,
There you go.
thank you.
Well, yeah, you didn't miss too much. We were mostly just talking about the scene where sadness turns the core memories blue.
That's a big boy scene.
Such a good scene. Highlight of this movie. A highlight of Pixar's last decade, if you ask me.
And you talked about it without me. You're not allowed to talk about anything important if I am MIA.
I apologize. I didn't notice you had disappeared until after I started the convo.
You didn't even know I was gone.
I forgot about you. You were in the dump. What did you?
Wow. My gut has just been stabbed with your words. It's okay.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not crying. You are. I'm just kidding.
No, I was crying. Is it a scene that makes me emotional?
Oh. So what about? Oh, I almost said something bad. What about the balls that turn? What about the no? What about the balls that sadness makes blue? No, the memory balls that sadness does. That this is gonna come out bad.
The core memories.
The core memories that sadness makes blue.
Well, because all those islands' personality were destroyed, I would imagine they're no longer core memories in the way they used to be.
Yeah.
Because Riley makes a new personality by the end.
Yes.
Takes her about a year.
I sort of think she's like her mom because when sadness takes over, sadness isn't necessarily the mopey. She's more calm and controlling, like her mom was in her mind. I'm really stuck on how her sadness was leading in her mom's mind.
It's a subtle but important character detail, I feel, for the mom.
Tis.
Because the family kind of has to exist in the broad strokes because we really have to spend most of the movie in Riley's head.
I have a question though. Okay.
What's your question?
I've taken my biology 101. I know my Punnett squares. I know the recessive gene is a thing. But why in Pixar, because it's Pixar, is Riley pure blonde and then both her parents are brunettes? I was confused.
I don't know. She could be adopted.
That's the leading theory at the moment.
Really? Love that. But she has blonde hair, blue eyes. And I was like, okay, y'all hit all the recessive gene pool. Or Mama had an affair. Either that or Mama had an affair.
Come, fly with me, Chiquita.
She had an affair with that captain guy. Oh, wait, no, but he's also
He's
brunette.
not blonde.
He's not
and also
blonde.
he's Brazilian. And Riley is not.
He is not. I like the adopted theory. Either that or her grandparents are blue eyes and blonde, or there's a recessive gene or a mutation. My biology teacher would be proud of me right now.
I mean,
I didn't
I
do
feel
very
like
well
it's
in biology.
possible. I mean, Pete Docter also wrote Pixar's famous Infertile Couple. So,
Oh, yeah.
maybe that's carrying over a bit, his ideas.
Could be.
I don't know. I was just wondering.
He based so much of his movie off of his own daughter. They say write what you know.
Yep.
That would freak me out, though, if my dad made a movie based off me.
Well, your dad's not a filmmaker, so.
But I'm just saying, I can't imagine him going up to his daughter and be like, honey, remember that time when you were in middle school and you had a breakdown and almost ran away? Well, I'm going to make a whole movie about how you...
I'm not sure. I'm sure it's not 100%
It's not that
biographical.
specific, Nora.
Okay,
You
I
really...
know, but that was just my example.
he noticed the personality shift his daughter underwent in middle school, and it inspired him to really ask the questions that he answers with this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when I heard that, because I'd actually heard that one before, I immediately thought, I don't know if I'd want that. That sounds no bueno.
No bueno.
Soul is kind of the same way, his upcoming one.
I'm
I
so
think this,
excited for that one.
yeah, I think, because like his question with that one was like he noticed his kids kind of had a personality even like right after they were born, like they were kind of like predetermined to like certain things or dislike other things, and so that got him asking questions about the soul.
I'm very excited for that movie because there's very little information on it right now, just from the teaser. Not
I
like
didn't even watch the teaser. I just know like the basic plot summary that's been released, and
the
I'm like,
teaser
oh. So
looks good.
I saw it before Frozen 2.
That's when I saw it.
yeah, like
We're
there's.
going to have to take a field trip to see Onward, me, you, Nora, and Olivia.
I'll try to come up, but you guys have to
Yeah.
understand it's like a 3-hour drive for me now.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's unacceptable. We have to set a date, and if you can't come, we will
Print a cardboard
FaceTime
cutout.
you. We'll pay for your ticket, and we'll FaceTime you during the film.
Tell you what, we'll go to a showing at the same time, but I'll just do it in my city and you guys do it in yours.
That's
Yeah.
depressing.
But yeah,
But-
with Soul, like, so there's been a trend with Pete Docter for me where he's improved with each movie. At least I feel like I like Up more than Monsters Inc. I like Inside Out more than Up, and I was kind of wondering if he could pull that off with his fourth movie, because Inside Out is in my top 10 movies of all time, if I'm being honest.
My only issue with Soul, though, is it seems very much in the same realm as the Inside Out universe, so I feel like it's not fully an original, but that's just from what I've seen in the teaser.
Well,
It wasn't even like a sequel, definitely not, or wasn't a prequel. I don't know what you would categorize it as, but it's in the same realm, I would say.
well, what Soul is going to do is really like explore creative ambition and where that kind of drive comes from, just based off the synopsis I read. And like, if there's one thing that I enjoy more than, dealing with middle schoolers having troubled emotions, it's an exploration of creative ambition. So I don't know how Pete Docter got so on my wavelength, but he is. It's great.
Yeah.
Isn't it also about? Well, I don't know in the soundtrack, but from what I saw, it also looks like it discussed your soul, like when you die a little bit, like where you go, because just based off what the character does. Trailer.
So the idea behind Soul is that there's a U seminar that all souls go to before they're born. And the concept is our main character, his soul gets separated from his body and it returns to the U seminar.
Oh, okay.
So he's not dying.
So he's like in a coma.
I would imagine that's how they handle.
Well, I'll just say, like in the he steps into what are they called? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live in them.
A sewer.
Yeah, it's like
a manhole.
Yeah, it's like a little manhole. He's like walking along, having a good time, and then he drops down in there, and he's like a little soul ghost. And you're like, oh, so this movie's about death.
I love death.
Beetlejuice? Question mark.
Okay. I love the concept of death. I think the concept of death is actually really beautiful.
This is a show about death.
Now, I am a person of the religious persuasion, so obviously there's a lot of stuff about afterlife and what lies beyond, so we're not going to discuss that, but, I think the concept of death can be really beautiful.
The whole movie Soul also had a very jazzy feel to me, and I'm very excited about that.
Yes, I love jazz music. You like jazz? Hey, Olivia, I hope you're listening. I love you. We'll do your DreamWorks podcast eventually.
Please tell me there's a Jerry Seinfeld cameo in Soul.
They're better.
It's just
And he
it's
plays the
Barry
guy just in a
Benson.
black and yellow striped sweater. And he just
Yeah.
like stops the main guy like on the street. He's like, "You like jazz?"
I just wanted to be just the cast of Seinfeld since it's
That's
set
what
in
I
New
was
York.
gonna say. Let's just have the whole cast in there. Let's bring in the soup Nazi and everything.
Jerry, George, Elaine, Kramer just walking down the street.
I would love to see them animated.
Well, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who played Elaine, is voicing the mom in Onward.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
just remember that
Pixar
Chris
gets
Pratt-
celebrities in their movies. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
I
Not
was
me.
thinking about that the other day because we were talking about, or at least you were, and I wasn't. It was more about that they typically are used to not cast big name celebrities, but Onward is.
I mean, Tom
all
Hanks,
Chris
and
Pratt. I mean, Tom Hanks.
John
and,
Goodman.
Yeah, like there were exceptions, of course, but it seems like this whole cast is maybe not whole, but a good majority. Like the leads are very
Just looking through
blockbuster
some
names.
old Pixar stuff, so you got John Goodman, Billy Crystal, Tom Hanks, Tim
Tim
Allen,
Allen, who was huge at the time.
Owen Wilson,
Well, I like
Ellen.
I said,
Samuel L.
like
Jackson.
it feels like this whole cast is though, because normally you'd have like Woody.
I mean,
Hanks,
look at Inside Out. You got Bill Hader, you got Amy Poehler,
okay,
you got
you
Liz
proved the
Black.
point. I get it. These are just
At
very.
least it's not Will Smith fish, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Imagine if Will Smith played an emotion and they tried to make it look like Will Smith.
Yeah.
But he wasn't
It's-
even an emotion. He was just like Will Smith in your head because everyone has a little Will Smith.
Yeah, it's remind time.
Trying to make Riley act happy just ends up making her say, "Ah, that's hot," over and over.
That's hot.
He's
And then he does the
Riley, how was school today? Ah, that's hot.
and he does the song at the end credits. Inside Out.
Instead of the bubblegum commercial in her head, it goes, in West Philadelphia, boy.
Oh my gosh.
We love you, Will.
We
Hey,
tolerate.
Will Smith, our friend, you should totally join our podcast eventually.
Oh yeah, I got so confused every time y'all said his name.
Yes.
Yeah,
Bring that
Nora
Will Smith on,
Jones,
please. Not the celebrity Will
famous
Smith.
singer.
Oh yeah, I am a famous singer, Nora Jones. There's a ladybug on my finger. Hello, little lady.
Miraculous, simply the best.
Aren't you cute, you little ladybug? Oh, she flew away to the ground. Oh no, she fell over.
Just because she's a ladybug automatically makes her a girl.
I know she's a girl because her color isn't bright red, and only male ladybugs have bright red colors. Jaren, please back
I was
off.
referencing a movie you don't like.
Which movie? Bugs Life?
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. You know why? Because I try not to think about that movie.
Oof. Nor did I ever tell you about the biscuit gravy gang?
Yes, that sounds very familiar, and that seems like a very weird name for me to feel familiar. So I feel like you did.
Okay. Yeah, that's our little friend group, me and Daniel and Joey and Olivia.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes Jason, sometimes Ellington. I think we dubbed Will Smith Biscuit Boy. You're a junior biscuit.
I'm a junior biscuit.
This name came about because we were all going to hang out one day over the summer, and I was like, we should. This is like 3 a.m, and I was very tired, maybe 4, I don't remember. And I was like, our group, we need a name. I know, Biscuit Gravy could be the Biscuit Gravy Gang, and it stuck.
That's strange.
How about the Emotion Gang?
The Emotion Gang, the few, the proud, the emotional.
See, right now I name us the Ladybug Bunch because this ladybug on my arm keeps flying away. Oh, she flew into my upper arm.
I like the Ladybug Bunch.
That's the
Ladybug.
way the Ladybug Bunch. The Ladybug Bunch. Bum, bum, bum. The Ladybug Bunch. Bum, bum, bum. That's the way we became the Ladybug Bunch. Ba-da-da-da.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Da, 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 da,
And
da.
then Neil's face pops up in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all singing a song too. This
Well-
is the story about some podcast.
And three
They are constantly getting off topic. Yeah, the train of thought in this movie is so accurate because it happens to us
Yeah.
all the time.
There was a teacher and a television broadcast producer man and a student.
Do ladybugs do better indoors or outdoors? Because I don't know if I should just let her exist inside or put her outside. I don't know.
Well, here's the question. Is there grass inside?
Oh, does she eat grass?
Unless you live in a really cool house where there's like, all terrains.
I'll be-
Tundra town.
I'll be right back.
Or if your parents know what's up.
I'll be right back.
She'll be right back. She'll be back.
She'll be
Soon
back.
we'll see.
Well,
You'll be back. Time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Oceans
trying to think if there are
rise.
any other notes I have for Inside Out, just like scenes I really wanted to talk about. Oh, the Chinatown reference was great.
Yeah.
And that
It's Cloud Town.
I took the ladybug outside and I heard Jaren's Hamilton reference and it was beautiful.
Yay.
I take it you didn't hear the Chinatown reference.
I heard you say something about Chinatown.
We
I
used to have a restaurant in
you.
our town called Chinatown years and years ago, but it shut down.
Probably because it was based off a movie that has one of the darkest endings in popular cinema.
What movie's that?
Chinatown?
Oh, what's that?
Hey, Nora, go watch Chinatown. I think you'll really like it. It's a very happy movie.
Don't destroy the kid.
Wait, he's joking, right? Like it's a sad movie? I'm a
It's just
gullible
dark.
person. Oh.
It's like anti-Pixar.
What's it about?
There's no joy.
Oh. What's it about?
Nora, you really don't need to know. I don't think it's a movie you'll like.
I want to know now. I'll Google it.
Sure. But you will feel anger, fear, and disgust.
What
And
is
probably some sadness.
Chinatown about, please?
What's the deal with Chinatown? Is it a country or is it a town?
It's no Cloud Town, that's for sure.
When Los Angeles private eye Jake Jack Nicholson is hired by Evelyn Mulray. I'm not even gonna attempt.
Don't read the whole Wikipedia.
Well, it's not the whole thing. It's like 4 cents. To investigate her husband's activities, he believes it's a routine infidelity case. Jake's investigation soon becomes anything but routine when he meets the real Mrs. Mulray. Wait, what? Oh, shocking. Oh, there's dot.
It's a scandal. It's an outrage.
Sounds scandalous. Well, that doesn't sound that bad.
Sister, my daughter, my sister, my daughter. Anyway.
Oh, that's a 5 out of 5.
This movie references Chinatown, which is, not the typical Pixar reference.
When Pixar references pop culture, it's always something obscure or Star Wars.
Always something. Chinatown's not obscure.
Well, not obscure, but not to
2001:
general.
Space Odyssey is not obscure.
Okay, but to just Joe Schmo audience member.
I'm pretty sure
You know
Joe
what I mean.
Schmo audience member can recognize that Otto is a HAL 9000 reference. That Cloud Town is a reference to Chinatown. That's one of the most famous
Mr.
cinema.
I'm ready for Pixar to whip out a reference to Silence of the Lambs or something real dark.
Just Cars 4. Let me touch your paint job.
No, you haven't seen Silence of the Lambs yet, but I need to because it's just a classic. But also, I have a feeling I'll be very disturbed, so it's not really on my to-do list. But
Yeah.
it's on my
It's nothing I'd sink my teeth into.
It's oh no, Jaren. It's on my to-do list for the next like 5-20 years.
That's a period of time.
Thank you. Maybe
How many?
tomorrow, maybe it'll be 50 years. I don't know.
Jeez, where is Pixar?
Don't watch it when you're watching your god kids
That's for sure.
or my children.
Hi, Jaren's kids. Would you like to see a wonderful film? It's called Silence of the Lambs. Let's sit down and watch.
Yes, we would, fairy godmother.
What do you mean you're only 4? You're old enough for this stuff.
You like lambs, don't you?
Well, I haven't seen it either. I think it's going to be a joyride.
Sure.
Kids walk out traumatized.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, I mean, I know
Show them some of Denis Villeneuve's films while you're at it. I'm sure they'll love Insomnies.
Dune comes out this year.
Dune? Isn't
Dune.
that Dune?
Yeah.
Dune is the
Isn't that the one
reason.
with, like, the aliens?
Yes, Nora, it's the one with the aliens, and it's also.
I've heard about the book.
Yeah, Dune is partially responsible for knocking Onward out of my top 5 like most anticipated movies of the year. Soul's still on there though. Sorry, Onward.
Yeah, I'm not really anticipating any other than like Soul, and I guess and Onward, I guess, but mainly Soul.
The point of the podcast. Yeah, I guess I'll watch it.
But I mean, I was so excited, and then like a man that was just pants is like one of the main characters. I was like, okay, they ruined it. They brought Dr. Seuss's theme into it. They tried to make it their own. No. You know what I'm talking about? There's a Dr. Seuss story, and it was my favorite, and it was just about a pair of pants that scared.
Oh, the things you can think. Oh, the things you can think.
Musical. The musical. But no, there's a story of a man with just pants.
Well, I mean, in Onward, it's actually the legs of their father.
Yeah, see, I saw that happening in the trailer, and I was like, no, don't do half his body. They did half his body. And then I was disappointed.
Disappointed!
It'll probably, like, it's going to change my mind. It'll probably end up being my favorite film of all time. Like, this is going to happen. Let's be honest.
I mean, that kind of happens to you every time you watch a new Pixar movie. You're like, oh, this one's my favorite. This one's my favorite. Cars 2? Yes, I like it.
Maybe it's because of the way you're dressed.
Okay, listen.
Did you know that Patrick is the voice of Sans from Undertale?
I actually know Undertale. I've seen that whole game because I watched a Dan and Phil Let's Play, and it was the best thing ever.
I love Sans. I love Sans so much.
I love Dan and Phil voicing Sans, and what's the other skeleton's name?
Papyrus.
Yes.
No, I mean Sans is literally his voice is literally just Patrick. It's just a clip of Patrick that repeats. So maybe it's because the way you're dressed. Maybe. That's literally Patrick.
Well, Nickelodeon's going to sue the creator of Undertale.
Don't worry about it. Okay, to be fair, Daniel, Cars 2 is in the bottom 3 of my list currently. Did I write Inside Out? Ah, nards. I gotta put Inside Out somewhere.
Yes, you do.
Ah, nards. No. Now I'm rethinking my entire list.
I mean, I knew from the beginning that Inside Out was going to be at the top for me.
No, it was never one of my top 3, but I watch it again and I realize how much I like it. But I don't want to. Oh no! I put something in my top 3 that wasn't supposed to. Oh, I'm so confused, y'all. I'm gonna have to look at this for like 30 minutes after the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it here for right now. but it's gonna move. But it's just gonna sit. I can say where it's gonna sit because it's not where it's gonna remain. I'm putting it at number 5 right now, but it's gonna move.
Interesting. Interessante.
Well, I think we should probably go ahead because we're at the movie's runtime now.
Yeah, anytime we start exceeding it is the problem.
Wait, what time are we at? Because mine only says 27 since I fell into the memory dump.
It's like an hour and 35 minutes.
That's long.
Yeah, so let's give our final thoughts on Inside Out. Let's wrap that up.
I liked it. It's really good. 8.5 out of 10.
Oh,
Go,
neat.
Jaren.
It's a wonderful film that connects to you most likely and pulls at your childhood heartstrings with light-hearted humor and family connections. Thank you. That was Noah.
I mean, you guys already know it's like 5 years away from being my favorite film of all time. Like I really like this movie. I really connect to it. I think it does an amazing job teaching people a really hard lesson. Like it's not easy to explain why sadness is so important. And this movie does it in 90 minutes. So that's impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive. See, it's got to move on my list. Gosh dang it.
All right. So I've been Daniel.
I've been Jaren.
And I've been Nora.
And next
Together
week,
we're the Ladybug Brigade.
And next week, I'm making the Ladybug Brigade watch The Good Dinosaur.
Oh. I don't wanna.
I'm concerned, Daniel. I'm concerned. I feel like it's just going to be a cartoon Jurassic Park, but I've actually never seen Jurassic Park, so.
What?
Nora, I have preconceptions about this thing I haven't seen based on a thing I haven't seen.
Yes.
Welcome to The Good Dinosaur. It's on the kazoo.
I swear, if this dinosaur walks out of here as my favorite character, my
Arlo?
past self is going to scream for my future self.
Well, I'm incredibly excited to hear your guys' takes on it because I already knew everybody was going to love Inside Out. Because it's a perfect movie. The Good Dinosaur is anything but, and I'm excited.
You're really not hyping this up for me. Like, you're a salesman, and it's
sorry.
just keeps going downhill for me.
Nora, I'm sorry. This movie's a hot mess, but it's a hot mess I deeply enjoy for some reason.
That's like me with Cars 2.
That's like everyone who's friends with me says that about me.
Jaren, don't make it dark. You're a wonderful person.
Jaren's other island of personality, dunking on himself.
We're like over here joking about the movies, and then Jaren brings up some serious topic about self-doubt. And stop it. You're fabulous. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. You fabulous human being.
The biggest island of all would be Love for My Friends Island.
Aw, see, there you go. There's back.
Let's end on this heartwarming note.
Okay.